Exclusive contract novel of Feilu Fiction Network. Genshin Impact, Kamisato Ayaka and I are farming at the beginning. Miss Kamisato Ayaka, please plant these rice. Miss Kamisato Ayaka, please plant these cotton. Miss Kamisato Ayaka, please plant these watermelons. Are you going too far? She is the first lady of the society practitioners, and you let her work alone. A crumb fox who did not reveal his real name roast while drinking juice. Ah, right. I ignored her feelings, and you also went to grow it together. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Creating Happiness with Salary. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Click. The old fan dissipated the blazing atmosphere in the room. Louise slowly moved her hands away from the keyboard, with a somewhat conflicted expression on her face. A picture is presented on the computer screen. A thatched cottage stands next to a golden pumpkin field. On two pieces of land, tender green crops compete to grow, displaying vibrant vitality. In ancient times. It is a large-scale online cryptocurrency game that combines various elements such as building one's own house, fishing, territorial warfare, naval warfare, running businesses, and farming at will. It can also be sold by planting crops for processing or synthesizing higher-priced items. It is also known as a large-scale MMO farm game. After work, planting crops, entering dungeons to fight bosses, and excluding the $180 classic clothes, members of 3 accounts, you can also earn soft girl coins ranging from 600 to 700 yuan per month. Of course, this is also due to a deep understanding of the game, which is why Lu Mang has such additional income. As time goes by, games have also entered an aging population, which has brought various problems. Game World Chat Box. Orange. Hahaha, if you don't believe it, nowadays there are still people manually planting rice in this terrible game, one by one. I took a look at him, and he even locked me in and continued planting one by one. The key planting was not even neat. Didn't he know there was something called a script? Wang Jichao. Where is it? I want to worship this boring big shot. Orange. In the residential area of the central lake on the Falcon Plateau. Where is my Jiao Chan? Is there anyone in charge of cheating on running errands? The studios have run their trade volume to waste, and this ancient era has not been taken care of. Bald Eagle. Planning. Sorry, our game is called Ancient Technology. We create happiness with our salary, but if we don't have the money to play, you'll be paralyzed. Orange. Play this game to make your salary happy, and then use the cheat. Off screen. Louis looked at the map and then at the crops in her thatched cottage. No doubt, he is certain that the protagonist in the chat is himself. Due to being a classic clothing district, he usually sets sail for fishing, and only grows some plants himself due to a lack of alchemy materials. In the picture, several figures appeared beside him out of thin air, and the names on his head were all those of those people who had just appeared. High tech. Speaking with conscience, Louis is truly envious. Look at them, what does ancient technology mean? When I was still practicing magic in my hands, they had already broken through the void, fled to heaven and earth, and were powerless. On my own computer, there are not only work materials but also various documents for hormone degradation engineers. Using these cheats is really unsafe, and I don't rely on games to make a living. There is no need to take this risk. I am not afraid of breaking into pieces, but I want to remain innocent in this world. Orange. Hey buddy, do you want to hang up? 101 months, stop farming and learn to cultivate immortals from us. Bald Eagle. Ancient technology, you. Worth having. Louis. This damn heartbeat. Hormone degradation engineers brush past in their minds, like angels in the game character, just as he was about to say something, he saw the other person typing a line of words again. Orange. Let me pull a boss for you to see. As soon as he finished speaking, the other person disappeared from the screen. In less than 10 seconds, a massive figure appeared in the picture. Boss. A huge tree spirit, like a mountain full of oppression. The orange appeared again in front of me. Just everything in the picture seems to be stuck. What? Louis shook the mouse, but the screen still didn't move. What spicy chicken game, destroying my money and damaging my youth. He forcefully typed the keyboard, helplessly bending down to prepare to restart the computer. Suddenly. The screen suddenly turned into a black vortex. The sudden scene stunned him for a moment, and the next second, he was sucked in. Birds chirping and cicadas singing, echoing in the tranquility of the forest. The open pupils are filled with endless confusion, and the grass beneath is as soft as a blanket. The thoughts in my mind instantly freeze. Where am I? Who am I? Am I not in front of the computer? Wasn't the last moment before the memory when I watched the cultivator pull a little boss and appear in front of the screen in front of the computer? But what's going on with this forest in front of me? Louis suddenly turned over and stood up, staring at everything around her with a frightened expression. The withered and yellow leaves covered my feet, and the air was filled with a slightly damp atmosphere. Fingers lightly touched the trunk of the tree, emitting an incredibly realistic touch. All of this is telling him about the existence of reality. Waves of sunlight filtered through the gaps between the leaves and trunks, scattering onto the ground of the forest, forming bright beams visible to the naked eye. These beams of light scatter and refract in the air, as if it were a natural magic, casting a mysterious veil over the entire forest. He twisted his thigh forcefully, and the pain instantly transmitted to his brain. Hiss, it's true. I actually came here from home in an instant. Louis's hands trembled uncontrollably. This is a legendary time travel. Whether it's a different world or reality here, such a strange thing has actually happened to me. He was extremely excited in his heart, but he couldn't help feeling a hint of fear. Suddenly, an inexplicable strange cry came from deep in the forest, and Louis, who had just been immersed in excitement, suddenly burst into a cold sweat from behind. He quickly crouched down, his heart racing and nervously listening to the sounds around him. Is there a beast here? With his fighting prowess as a squatter in his family, unarmed, he couldn't even handle a wolf on his own. Louis scoffed at the online rumor of encountering a tiger with a sliding shovel, believing that it was not a sliding shovel, but more like delivering takeout to Tiger Brother. Ding! A crisp metallic sound echoed in my mind. The golden light in front of me condensed into a panel. Louis level 0 strength 1, increases melee attack power by 1 point, current. 1 spirit 1, increases 10 mana points per point, current mana points. 10 wisdom 1, increases spell damage by 1 point, current. 1 constitution 1, increases 10 health points per point, current health points. 10 agility 1, increases speed by a certain point, dodges by 0.01%, and deals 1 ranged damage, current dodge. 0.01%, current ranged damage. 1, what does it mean? What do you mean by this? Louis felt mockery and was very happy when the system appeared, but what happened when all attributes were 1? He even suspected that the so-called 1 was just the lower limit displayed by the other party, not the lower limit that the other party wanted to show him. As for the attributes derived from strength, Louis didn't even notice. However, the game interface in front of him made him recognize at a glance that it was the game he had played before crossing over. Ancient Century. Chapter 2. The Glittering Gold Comet. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the right side of the attribute bar, there are empty packages. Ding! Build your own thatched cottage. A task popped up in the taskbar below the package. At the same time, the golden light in the package condensed into an object. Drawing. Thatched cottage farm. Lu Yi's eyes lit up, and he even sent a thatched cottage to complete the task. Sure enough, the system is conscientious enough, much better than the penguin it represents. As he was still pondering how to use this blueprint, his vision suddenly expanded, as if his soul had drifted off to the top of the tree crown, and everything on the ground became dreamlike. A shining thatched cottage floated into nothingness, and as his mind shifted, the phantom swayed left and right. When it touched the strange terrain and towering trees, the phantom turned red and could not be placed here. This is similar to his usual operations in the game, but at this moment, the god's perspective in reality makes him feel refreshed, as if he can really control the entire world. Lu Yi really wanted to find a safe place to place the house, but hearing the howling of the beasts immediately dispelled this idea. With his scumbag-like attributes, it is highly likely that he was eaten by the beasts without finding a safe place. System brother is with me. Place it. Lu Yi's mind moved and the thatched cottage was immediately put down. In the area where the thatched cottage is located, weeds and small trees are instantly wiped away by invisible forces, and consciousness returns to its original form once again. The roof is covered with slightly yellowish-brown thatch, and a white chimney rises from the roof. The room is surrounded by a low stone wall, which is covered with moss and vines. These green plants contrast sharply with the yellowish-brown thatch, giving the entire thatched cottage a lively atmosphere. The door of the thatched cottage is covered by two exquisite wooden doors, with one window on each side, and a wine barrel is placed under the left window. All of this was exactly the same as the scenes displayed in the game, but reality gave him a stronger shock. Standing in front of the thatched cottage, Lu Yi couldn't help but once again marvel at the greatness of the system's father. He walked around the thatched cottage and roughly estimated the size of the house. The data in the game is almost the same, and the entire building range is about 24 meters by 24 meters. However, after excluding the location of the surrounding courtyards, the actual area occupied by the house is only 10 meters by 10 meters. Nevertheless, this area is still much larger than houses in the real world. He felt incredibly shocked and filled his heart with awe. He stood in front of the wine barrel in the room, gently turning on the faucet, and clear water immediately gushed out. He laughed loudly and sighed. The functions in the game are exactly the same as the reality. After that, he turned off the tap. He walked to the door again and cast his gaze on the doorplate above. The scene reappeared before my eyes. Thatched cottage storage capacity. 999/1000, 1 recovery per minute, current usage permissions. Not open to the public, can be selected, open to designated characters, open to families, open to the public, and only those with permissions and owners can carry out production activities. House status. Invincible. People with permissions and crops within the house area are also invincible. Housing maintenance fee. 40 gold coins per month, can be paid in advance, currently 0/1. If the deadline is exceeded, the house will be automatically demolished and the drawings will be returned. Demolition can be initiated, and a deposit of 10,000 gold coins is required for replacement. Great. Lu Yi immediately felt confident. The house was invincible. Even if it was only 24 meters times 24 meters, he was excited. At least he had security guarantees. These settings were exactly the same as those in the game. The cost of maintaining a house has changed from tax receipts in the game to current coins, but where the coins come from is a big question. My current self is penniless. Pushing open the door and entering, my eyes suddenly opened up, and the thatched house was spacious and bright. A fireplace stands in the right corner, and the blazing flames bring warmth and vitality to the entire room. There is also a fully equipped bathroom inside the house, with all kinds of items available, showcasing the convenience and comfort of life. Ding! Complete 1/1 of the thatched cottage and reward 10 rice seeds. Ding! Task. Harvest a crop 0 to 1. In the package, 10 seeds appeared out of thin air again. Novice missions, similar to those in games. Thanks to being the system grandfather, the task arrangement for beginners is clear and straightforward, much stronger than the system brothers in other novels. Louis ran out excitedly, and with a movement of his mind, he suddenly had an extra rice seed in his hand. This. He touched his head and looked at the rice seeds the size of a ping-pong ball in his hand. And there are 10 such seeds. Calm down, after all, it's a different world, after all, it's a product of the system grandfather. If you're shocked, you get used to it. Louis squatted at the entrance and stuffed a seed onto the land within the house. Then he ran to the bucket and turned on the faucet, holding some water with both hands and pouring it on the seeds. Is it okay or not? Everything is unknown. Louis can only hope that this will grow quickly, just like the game itself. Otherwise, she might starve to death if she stays here. Suddenly, he came up with a great way to keep track of the time. The water in the bucket can be restored and timed. If he wanted to do it, he let go most of the water in the bucket and immediately planted a seed within the house, watering it well. 2 seeds were planted outside the house, watered and not watered separately. At the moment he crouched down, the seed that had sunk into the soil seemed to be awakened by the breath of life, and tender green sprouts emerged from it. In this instant, time seemed to transform into a movie that was playing faster, and those tender green sprouts continued to grow at an astonishing speed. 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters. I don't know how long it has been, but the sunlight casting between the leaves slowly tilts. Rooting and sprouting, growing green leaves, flowering, fruiting. Louis, whose legs were already numb, witnessed a miracle. The rice still looked like rice, but it was over a meter high. The stem was even thicker than 2 fingers, and she was forced to bend down and hang 5 rice grains on the ground, each one slightly larger than a ping-pong ball. The plants within the house have fully matured, while the 2 seeds planted outside have remained motionless and have not even sprouted. It seems that only within the scope of the house can there be a rapid growth effect, and the maturation time is about 2 hours. Louis pulled out the seeds from the soil outside. Collect. He touched the rice, but nothing happened. Sorry. Louis could only pull out the rice ear with force, and with a puff, the rice ear disappeared from his hand, while the rice stalks on the ground also turned into a phantom and disappeared. A new item appeared in the backpack. Rice, quantity 5. Obtaining items directly turns them into rice, not seeds. Cut off the path of chicken laying eggs and egg laying chicken making money. Ding. Harvest 1/1 of the crop once, complete the task, and open the lifestyle store. Ding. Sell an item 0 to 1 in a lifestyle store and receive a reward of 1 follower roll. At the bottom of the system page, a plant icon flickers as consciousness increases. With a clang, the store page opened. Rice seeds. Priced at 5 silver coins. Louis noticed the words, purchase, below, and with a sudden inspiration, he clicked on it. In the package on the right, the remaining 9 rice seeds instantly dimmed and became unselectable, while the 5 rice seeds automatically lit up. Do you want to sell 1 grain of rice to get 5 silver coins? Yes. Louis directly chose yes. If calculated in this way, a 5 silver coin seed can yield 24 silver coins, which is approximately 1/5 of the cost. Ding. Sell 1/1 of the items in the lifestyle store, complete the task, and reward 1 follower roll. There is already an extra golden scroll in the package. Summon a follower. Okay. Louis didn't even have to think about it, she just chose to summon. Boom. The sky roared with thunder. Above the sky, a golden comet, enveloped in brilliant light, bravely broke through the thick clouds and charged straight towards the ground. Under this extraordinary celestial phenomenon, the plants on the ground seemed to feel immense pressure, bending down one after another, forming a green ocean that surged in the opposite direction of the comet. The birds were startled and scattered by the sudden celestial phenomenon, their sharp chirping piercing through the sky. The creatures on the ground are searching for shelter, hiding in caves or grass, with a frightened expression in their eyes. As the comet approaches, the plants on the ground are becoming more and more severely bent. Lu felt that his body was becoming increasingly difficult to support under the pressure of this force. He tried to maintain his balance, but the force was too strong, making him feel as if he was about to be crushed. The dazzling golden light blurred his vision, and his hands couldn't help but block in front of him. Just as he felt like he was about to be destroyed by this force, the comet turned into a golden beam and gently scattered on the ground. Chapter 3. On the correct use of Miss Kamisato Ayaka. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. At the moment when the golden beam gradually dissipated, Louise slowly opened her eyes, and what caught her eye was a stunning young girl. Kamisato Ayaka. This girl has a head of snow-white long hair elegantly combed into a high ponytail. The tassel-shaped side hair hanging from her temples ends with exquisite overall corners, gently tapping against her beautiful face with the wind. The beauty mole at the corner of her left eye adds a mysterious charm to this noble face. She was wearing a gradient blue feather weave and a deep blue pleated skirt, with flowing patterns printed on it like cherry blossoms. The chest and abdomen are wrapped in a black body armor, and the skirt armor is cleverly connected on both sides. The armor is engraved with the Chinese tune pattern of the Xunli family. Wearing a sharp tie-dao at the waist, showcasing endless bravery. At a glance, Louis recognized the man in front of him. Kamisato Ayaka in the goddess. Inami, the eldest lady of the Shinri family, is a highly respected figure who takes care of both internal and external affairs of the family. You should know that he used to draw her, but he drew thousands of raw stones. He didn't believe anyone could surpass his own record. Wait, why did she appear in ancient century games? Lu Yi remembered that she seemed to have 2 games in the same folder on her computer. Is that the reason why it's difficult? If given another chance, Lu Yi would probably buy a 1-billion-bit big hard drive and copy some games along the way. Kamisato Ayaka looked around, his eyes were like lightning, and then he looked at the boy in front of him. Hello, my name is Kamisato Ayaka. Are you calling me? Hello, my name is Lu Yi. May I ask, how did you know that I summoned you? Lu Yi asked. I was just concentrating on cultivating swordsmanship at home, when I suddenly felt a mysterious force calling me. I couldn't help responding, and then I was illuminated by a bright golden light and sucked into it. Kamisato Ayaka looked around and asked softly, so where is this place? Undoubtedly a helpful young lady, she came upon hearing someone's call. If I say I don't know exactly where this is, do you believe it? Lu Yi looked helpless. I believe it. Ah. Lu Yi was very surprised. I can feel that you are not lying. It's a strange feeling. Kamisato Ayaka looked at the hut behind him with a puzzled look. Is the hut yours? I just established it, and now I have a big problem. Can Miss Kamisato Ayaka help me? Maybe it can answer your question. Lu Yi said sincerely. Yes. Kamisato Ayaka nodded happily. Looking at the face in front of her, she felt that deep down she didn't seem to reject the other person's request, which was really puzzling. The plants around her were not familiar, so she decided to observe them first before making a decision. Her slender fingers lightly touched the handle of the knife, and her fingertips felt a cold texture. Lu Yi turned her head and smiled sinister, beautiful, noble, and elegant, Mississippi. It was really timely. 2 hours later Kamisato Ayaka, in front of her, has harvested a pile of rice. Despite being granted housing management authority by Lu Yi, her face still retains shock. Without using magic, these rice seeds sprouted and matured in a short period of time. This is the first time I have seen such a large amount of rice, and this house is full of magical power. As soon as these rice ears are picked, the rice on top instantly turns into rice, and the remaining rice stems disappear into the air. She patted the leg that was still a bit numb, but she understood it a bit and didn't quite understand it. "Miss Kamisato Ayaka, how do you feel?" Lu Yi came with a bundle of wood in his arms. There might be danger nearby. He only picked up some wood within the visible range of a dozen meters nearby. After seeing the other party finish harvesting the rice, he spoke calmly and asked. "It's amazing." Kamisato Ayaka stood up excitedly, his tone revealing a trace of excitement. "So I need you to continue planting tomorrow," Lu Yi said, lightly tapping the stacked rice and instantly storing it all in the system backpack. "Let's go back now, it doesn't seem too safe here at night." Squeaking, he walked in as he pushed open the door. A deathly atmosphere enveloped the forest in front of them, as if shrouded in a huge gradually darkening curtain. The surroundings were eerily quiet, with only occasional sounds of wind and rustling leaves, which amplified in the silent darkness and made people shudder. Wherever one can see, there are only blurry contours and shadows, making it difficult to see specific things clearly. In such an environment, it is impossible to determine the specific direction and can only rely on feelings and memory to move forward. Every step may require caution, fearing stepping on something unknown or falling into danger. The trees are exceptionally tall, with dense and twisted branches, giving off a gloomy feeling. Occasionally, a few gentle breeze blows, and the leaves sway gently, as if telling some unknown secret. Kamisato Ayaka and the god took her eyes back from the forest and stepped into the door. Roar! Accompanied by the sound of closing the door, the howling of wild beasts came from outside. Are there really no monsters attacking? Hearing the sound, Kamisato Ayaka looked at Lu Yi, who was filling the fireplace with dead branches. "It's okay. We are invincible in this house." Lu Ito did not return. He picked up 2 prepared sticks and prepared to drill wood to make fire. "Miss Kamisato Ayaka, please." Bang, the flames lit up in the fireplace out of thin air, and a pot hung on top. "What's the matter?" Kamisato Ayaka in God. "It's okay, I want to say you're really beautiful." Lu Yi threw the wooden stick into the fireplace with his back hand. Fortunately, the system's big dad didn't lack the ability of the house, and now the tool man no longer needs it. "You." Kamisato Ayaka is stunned. This is the first time that she has been praised by the opposite sex in front of her. Lu Yi took out more than 10 grains of rice from his backpack and threw them into the pot, then filled it with some water from the outside and slowly boiled it back. "Can you make some chopsticks, bowls, and spoons out of trees?" He picked up a relatively complete piece of wood and said. "Let me try." Kamisato Ayaka took the wood and threw it in the air, and the knife came out of its sheath with the sound of thunder. Sword shadows glide through elegant curves in the air, each movement full of power and beauty, lightning fast, leaving behind remnants in the air. The action of Kamisato Ayaka, who perfectly closed the knife, is still so beautiful. With a clang, wood chips fell, and bowls, chopsticks, and spoons were sandwiched between them. Amazing! Lu Yi picked up the bowl and chopsticks, staring at her intently. The edges of the bowl are not smooth enough, and even some places can feel wooden thorns, which may make people feel uncomfortable when using it. The shape of the chopsticks is not very regular, with one end thick and the other end thin, making it feel a bit clumsy to hold in the hand. However, these are all caused by the other party waving a sword in a short period of time. "You're welcome." Kamisato Ayaka. Lu Yi, who had washed these dishes, waited in front of the fireplace as the flames danced on his cheeks, making his face more vivid and three-dimensional. He is organizing his backpack, and there are still 36 grains of rice left. Sell everything directly, and then exchange all the money for rice seeds. Lu Yi piled the seeds in the corner of the house, preparing to take turns plowing with the young lady tomorrow. After an unknown amount of time, a faint aroma permeated the house. The rice also melted in the hot water and did not become difficult to cook due to its large volume. "Okay." Lu Yi first filled a bowl and handed it to Kamisato Ayaka. First Lady Kamisato Ayaka, you have made great contributions, so eat first. Sitting 2 meters away, Kamisato Ayaka dared not look directly at each other. Her eyes were a little stiff. Please don't call me Miss, just call me Kamisato Ayaka. Okay, you can also call me by my name directly in the future, said Lu Yi. Well, Kamisato Ayaka took the bowl and sipped at it. The congee was tasteless, but the rice was hard planted by herself. The faint fragrance of the rice matched her taste buds. Wait. When congee entered her stomach, it released a magical element force, which was warm and soft, and slowly penetrated into every corner of her body. Her whole body began to feel a comfortable warmth, as if all fatigue and stress had been relieved at this moment. This congee can restore the elemental power. Kamisato Ayaka's eyes are bright. Well, eat more and add more elements. There are still a lot of them. Don't be so polite. Lu Yi was not too surprised. The rice porridge in the game does have similar effects. Well, she was a little embarrassed to hang her head down again and drink the congee in the bowl. Ding. Survive for 1 night, reward unknown. Lu Yi looked outside and closed the door, feeling very calm. The beginner's task was good. Outside the window, the whining sound of the wind mixed with the hissing of wild beasts echoed in the forest echoing inside. Chapter 4. Miss Black Slave. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. A bird's cry, like the melodious sound of silk and bamboo, awakened the sleeping Lu Yi. He opened his eyes and gazed at the wooden ceiling, suddenly realizing that he was in a different world. Turning around, Kamisato Ayaka, who was resting on the other side of the house last night, disappeared. Squeezing, pushing open the door, the refreshing morning breeze instantly cleared the mind a lot. Are you awake? Kamisato Ayaka wiped the sweat on her forehead. You. Lu Yi saw the rice piled up on the ground at the door, snow-white as pearls. I got up early and planted all the rice by the way. By the way, the dishes and chopsticks I made yesterday were not very good, so I made them again. I cut a lot of wood by the way, and I will make chairs and stools later. Kamisato Ayaka replied with a smile. Ah, this. Lu Yi looked at the exquisite bowls and chopsticks next to the bucket, and then at the wood piled up under the window on the right. What kind of tools and people are these? The gaze fell on the other person, and there was even a hint of enjoyment on that brilliant smile. This has left him quite speechless. Thank you very much. Don't mention it. Do you have any rice seeds? I can help you continue to plant some. Kamisato Ayaka. Okay, great. Lu Yi packaged and sold all the rice in exchange for seeds, allowing the young lady in front of her to plant enough. When the seeds were just taken out, Kamisato Ayaka couldn't wait to plant them. She seems to be getting more and more energetic as she works. The busy figure and a pile of sawdust on the ground all prove the tedious process just now, and in the nearby bushes, there are many wooden bowls and chopsticks piled up with defective products. A new day has begun, and Lu Yi looks up at the sky. The dawn light passes through the lush leaves, casting mottled shadows. Light and shadow sway gently with the gentle breeze, as if beating the melody of life. Ding! Survive for 1 night, complete the task, and open the talent and skill bar. Lu Yi quickly opened the panel and saw a weapon logo pattern below. Open the skill and see the first 3 blank panels that come into view. The first panel is lit, and there are 10 career talents available for selection below. Close combat category. Fighting. A melee talent. Assassination. Assassination talent. Spell category. Element. Magic attack talent. Illusion. Skill to control enemies. Death. Primarily weakening and suppressing enemies. Remote class. Wildness. A talent for long-range archers. Life recovery assistance. Life. Provides life recovery and sustained combat ability for oneself and allies. Bard. Use playing to enhance attack power and help allies. Iron Wall. Physical defense talent. Will. Magic defense talent. Louis took a glance at it, and it was probably clear about the specific situation. It was exactly the same as the situation in the game. He could choose 3 professions as his talent, and each combination could form a new profession. Under the talent section, there is also a line of red letters. Changing a class talent requires 1,000 gold. Now that my level is low, I can only choose one talent. If my level is high, I can naturally choose other talents. When encountering an enemy, first fire a fireball, and the other party rushes over and uses an archer's kite to catch up. If they catch up, they feel embarrassed and transform into Gandalf, charging and killing with a staff. Based on the current environment and development, survival is still the main focus. In the future, if you can change your career, you will have the opportunity to live. He glanced at the young lady who was consciously becoming a slave. Looking at my own attribute of being a scumbag in battle, if I really switch to a combat profession, charging up is also a chaotic killing. I am responsible for the chaos, and the other party is responsible for the chaos. Louis still had this self-awareness, and her mind moved. Life. The ultimate move of this profession is resurrection, which is like a bug. The profession of a doctor is highly sought after no matter where it is, with iron support and flowing output. The brain is like a dry sponge, absorbing these skills and deeply imprinting them in the mind. Every detail and step is clear, and skills are no longer abstract concepts, but have become an instinct that can be applied anytime, anywhere, and naturally. At present, the level is low, and the health talent can only illuminate the first skill. Holy Light Baptism, active. Instantly restore one's own or teammates' health with Holy Light. When using against enemies and targets, it will cause magic damage. The higher the mental power, the higher the recovery and damage values. He used it on himself, and the drowsiness after waking up in the morning disappeared instantly like mist dispersed by the winter cold wind. The magic cost is 2, which means the Holy Light can be used 5 times. Kamisato Ayaka. What's the matter? Kamisato Ayaka, who went out of the house to carry wood, looked up. I have come to understand a kind of recovery ability. Give it a try, Louis said and gave her a holy light. This. Kamisato Ayaka was covered with light golden light. She seemed to notice something. She pulled out the knife and gently scratched her finger. Please try again. The magic is not enough, that's the elemental power in your mouth. Louis spread out her hands. Ah! Kamisato Ayaka's face turned red in an instant. She was embarrassed and wanted to bury her head in the earth like a rice seed, with blood still rising from her fingertips. The next second, another holy light flashed by. Someone's mocking voice came from across. It's just a small joke. Kamisato Ayaka's face became more and more red. As a well-cultivated young lady, she wanted to say something, but she didn't know where to start. For the first time in her life, such complex and intertwined emotions appeared. The feeling that she wanted to be angry and couldn't help laughing stirred in her heart. She raised her fingertips and saw that under the holy light cover, the wound instantly healed. The ability to defy the heavens. If the community had this ability, ordinary people would no longer have to worry about getting sick. However, this ability can only be used a few times, and the magic is not enough, Louis said seriously. The goddess Ling Hua suddenly thought of many things. Rice kanji can restore magic power, which can help the devil at any time and anywhere. I don't know whether he would like to go to the community to live there. However, it is still unknown whether one can return to this unfamiliar environment at present. I don't know how my brother is doing with shifengsing. What are you thinking? Louis felt a bit lost when she saw the other person. Nothing. The recovered Kamisato Ayaka shook her head. This ability is very practical, if it exists. She suddenly perked up her ears and turned her head to look at the bushes, her hand resting on the hilt of her sword at this moment. The sound of rustling came as if something was rapidly approaching. A brown-striped, tiger-like monster suddenly opened its fangs and leaped out like a thunderbolt. It stands aloft, its eyes are like electricity, and it has sharply locked Kamisato Ayaka. Several sharp bone spurs suddenly appeared on the shoulder and back of this warcraft, as if a sharp dagger had broken through the air. And its long tail also gave rise to a row of bone spurs, like a terrifying long sword hanging behind it. Ding! Defend your home, kill warcraft, reward unknown, novice task. After Chapter 5, please provide more guidance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Kamisato Ayaka's eyes were cold, and the sword blade flashed past, then he pulled it out of the scabbard. At the moment of being unsheathed, a cold wind swept by, and the blade was frozen with ice. The demon tiger in mid-air seemed to feel threatened, and with a flick of its tail, its bone spurs pierced from below. Shunli flow. Shoppy step. The body was hidden in the shattered ice, and at the cost of consuming energy, it transformed into a torrent to evade the attack of the demon tiger. All of this happened between lightning and flint. Suddenly, she noticed from the corner of her eye that another demon tiger had darted out of the bushes on Lu Yi's right. Damn it! Shao! Standing at the door, Lu Yi didn't expect these evil tigers to have such dirty hearts and even play the trick of adjusting Ling Lishan. The demon tiger, several meters long, pounced from mid-air, with its wide-open mouth and sharp fangs like blades, shimmering with a cold luster. In the pupils the size of Mo Hu's fist, Lu Yi saw contempt for herself, a look of aloofness and disdain, as if mocking his powerlessness and insignificance. Just. Lu Yi's eyes flashed with a hint of shock, but were soon replaced by a determined light. At this moment, I am standing within the range of the house, and the system dad is with me. The sharp claws kept expanding in his pupils. At the moment when the demon tiger's claws touched Lu Yi, it seemed as if it had collided with an invisible wall of power. The powerful and mysterious force bounced it back fiercely. The demon tiger tumbled heavily in the air and fell to the ground, emitting a terrifying roar. At this moment, the invincible power of the moment was completely shattered. Lu Yi stood in place, his eyes flashing with a surprising and natural light. He did not show any obvious martial arts skills, but that invisible power was enough to make the demon tiger feel cold. Before he could make a move, Ayanami, a god who had hidden in the ice, rushed over and cut the blade at the evil tiger who had just turned over and was still not very clear-headed. Kamisato Ayaka's attack from the gods was like endless snow and ice, which made the devil tiger unable to escape. The ice bloomed in the air and turned into sharp ice blades, relentlessly stabbing the devil tiger's body. Every attack made the demon tiger feel an unprecedented cold and pain, and its movements became increasingly slow, as if bound by this cold force. The baptism of the holy light. Lu Yi raised his hand and the holy light fell on the demon tiger. The pouring holy light emitted a strong light, making everything around it appear pale. It was like a brilliant blade that instantly penetrated the enemy's body. At this moment, the air was filled with a divine aura. The demon tiger with multiple injuries on its body struggled in pain under this deadly light, its body instantly engulfed by a powerful energy, and it fell heavily to the ground, losing its vitality. The two groups of white light visible only to Lu Yi poured into themselves and Kamisato Ayaka respectively. This is experience value. He recognized it at a glance. Roar. The other demon tiger rushed forward with a roar, and Kamisato Ayaka raised his knife to block the other's paw. Suddenly, she felt a sharp pain, with a heart-wrenching pain in her arm. A long wound split open on her arm, and blood kept gushing out, staining her sleeves red. The end of the bone spurs on the long tail of the demon tiger was like a sharp blade mercilessly cutting across her arm just now. Kamisato Ayaka gritted her teeth and tried to restrain the pain. She knew that she was facing the test of life and death at the moment, and could not loosen the handle of the knife because of the pain. The baptism of the holy light. The light fell on Kamisato Ayaka, the god. The fierce holy light of the enemy fell on her, but it became very gentle. The long wound recovered very quickly, as if it was closed slowly by a pair of invisible hands. The pain dissipated most of the time. Kamisato Ayaka jumped back to Lu Yi's side with her feet. Wait. Don't worry, we are invincible within the range of the house. Lu Yi pressed her shoulder to signal her not to worry. My magic is recovering, and I'm waiting for it to come and attack us, and I don't know if there are such monsters nearby. Well, Kamisato Ayaka nodded, and what just happened has proved what Lu Yi said. The devil tiger on the ground glanced at his companion's body and the wound on Kamisato Ayaka's arm that was close to recovery in a flash. At last, he gave Lu Yi a fierce look, turned around and ran without hesitation. What are you looking at? Lu Yi noticed the last gaze of the demon tiger. I will definitely not let go of your gaze. We can't let him go. Shenli Lu, Frost Extinction. Kamisato Ayaka raised her hand, and the knife in her hand turned into a snow light and condensed into a fan. She gently waved in the direction of the devil tiger. Countless ice flowers shot out like sword lights, slicing through the air and making subtle sounds. With a piercing cold, they aimed straight at the vital point of the demon tiger, which was cut by countless sharp sword blades. These ice flowers danced gracefully in the air, like a dreamlike performance. The body of the demon tiger, which did not even let out a mournful cry, was frozen and immediately shattered by the ice sword. A faint layer of ice has also formed on the ground within a radius of more than 10 meters. 2 more white lights flooded into their bodies. Lu Yi felt a warm current emanating from her body, with levels ranging from 0 to 1. Lu Yi level 1 strength 2, increases melee attack power by 1 point, current. 2 spirit 2, increases 10 mana points per point, current mana. 20 wisdom 2, increases spell damage by 1 point, current. 2 constitution 2, increases 10 health points per point, current health. 20 agility 2, increases speed by a certain point, dodges by 0.01%, and deals 1 ranged damage, current dodge. 0.02%, current ranged damage. 2, wow, Kamisato Ayaka's figure is a little swaying. Lu Yi reached out to help her and said, "What's wrong?" "It's okay. I just used too much physical strength and element force. When I came to this world, my strength seemed to have dropped a lot. But when I killed these monsters just now, I felt that my strength seemed to have returned a little." Kamisato Ayaka explained, "Thank you for your treatment just now. We are teammates, don't say thank you or not, didn't you just come to save me?" Lu Yi raised his hand. Holy Light Baptism. With magic power and holy light, the tired face of Kamisato Ayaka regained a lot of spirit again. "Your ability is really good." Kamisato Ayaka looked envious. If she had such ability, her mother would also. This is just a small idea. When I become stronger, I can resurrect others. Lu Yi. Resurrection. Well, but my strength is too weak to learn now and I need to become stronger, Lu Yi continued with a movement in her heart. You are my teammate. If I become stronger, even if I want to resurrect someone, I will help you. Really? The eyes of Kamisato Ayaka had become hot. Of course it's true. Lu Yi. I will continue to help you to farm the land. The stimulated Kamisato Ayaka felt that infinite power was emerging all over her. The blood in the forest may attract monsters, so I will deal with it first. You are really a qualified tool person, Lu Yi is very pleased. As long as she is given a handful of grass, she will continuously produce milk as an energy source. But he held the other side down and looked at the dense forest around him. Don't worry. I'll cook some congee first. You and I will recover our magic power and deal with it again to prevent us from ambushing our existence like the evil tiger. As long as we stand within the house, we are invincible, and no one can hurt us. Well, you can cook congee, and I will water the seeds instead of going out. The smoke from the kitchen is curling up. Ding. Defend your home, complete the task of killing Warcraft, and unlock the production platform. Opening the production table, you can see everything you can make inside. Advanced plate armor production table, advanced leather armor production table, advanced cloth armor production table. After reviewing the material requirements, even the furnace with the least amount of materials requires 10 iron ingots, 10 stone, and 100 gold. He directly shut down this production platform. Currently, he has nothing, but later on, these production platforms are indispensable. In the pot, congee is bubbling with fragrance. Outside the door, Kamisato Ayaka walked in with her hands behind her. Her face was a little nervous and timid. She stopped step by step and handed the things behind her. This is what I made for you. It can be used to hold congee. Later, you can repair the demons while fighting. Well, Louis looked at the tightly held kettle in the other person's hand, clearly putting in a lot of effort, with the Shenli family emblem carved on the bottle cap. Thank you, but you are really skilled at making these things. I occasionally observe, but I haven't studied it carefully. Kamisato Ayaka's face reddened inexplicably, but it soon disappeared, and her face became extremely serious. My name is Kamisato Ayaka, please give me more advice in the future. Louis looked up in surprise at the other person, his eyebrows slightly furrowed, as if thinking of something. His lips gently curved upwards, revealing a faint smile. He took the kettle and replied seriously. My name is Louis, please give me more guidance in the future. The two of them couldn't help but smile at each other at this moment. Chapter 6. You are suitable as a wife. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Magic tiger meat. Edible without any special effects. The meat of the two evil tigers was cut off by Kamisato Ayaka. After Louis put it into the backpack, it automatically became 100 pieces of evil tiger meat. The remaining organs were thrown out of the house by her. As it got dark outside, there was an additional table and 2 chairs in the house. Kamisato Ayaka is full of energy now, and has specially used the mop made of devil tiger skin to wipe the floor. What kind of survival expert? Just the next day, she made chairs and tables. Louis was covered in black lines, and compared with the other person, he felt like he was on vacation. He once again set his gaze on his backpack. Not only are there 100 portions of magic tiger meat, but there are also 2 sets of rice, 1 set occupying exactly 1 packaging space, 1 set equals 1000. This is all the credit of Kamisato Ayaka during the day. If it weren't for the fact that it was dark and she couldn't see clearly, Louis estimated she could still continue working. But do you think of a way to get a lamp yourself, or else we can set up a bonfire outside? We cannot bury the enthusiasm of the young lady. Sell a set of rice directly in the system and receive 50 gold. Pay 40 gold for the monthly housing maintenance fee, and the remaining 10 gold will be used to buy all the seeds again. When Louis put these seeds in the corner, Kamisato Ayaka's eyes were full of light. I will make a storage box tomorrow, and then you will pile all the rice seeds in it, so you don't have to scatter them all. Good. Louis looked at the bubbling porridge. This porridge is okay. Pick up the bowl and first fill the other person with a bowl. He really cares about the black slave lady in front of him. Don't get tired, otherwise where will he find this hard-working person? She took a sip, and the familiar elemental power flowed through her stomach, as if today's fatigue and weakness were being dissipated by this force. She lifted her head as she took another gentle bite of the demon tiger meat. This meat doesn't have any special effects. I thought their meat also had the same effect, but the taste is quite good. Even without salt, the taste won't be dull. Eat more. Louis was pleased to look at the pretty face in front of him, and he could only work more if he ate more. By the way, if I could call you Ling Hua, I always felt that calling you Ling Hua by your full name would be a little disrespectful. Can you cut down some big trees tomorrow? It should be a whole section. I'm useful. Try not to cut all around. Keeping more can protect our house from being found easily. Okay. Kamisato Ayaka answered, and I don't know what she said, good, was to agree to the other party's request. Her pupils were buried in the bowl, not daring to look directly at the other person, and her hand holding the bowl accidentally clenched. After waiting for a long time without any movement, she raised her eyelids and looked at someone. The warm light from the fireplace danced on Lu Yi's face, as he struggled to cook while holding a bowl. His slightly upturned mouth and slightly narrowed eyes seemed to savor every moment of delicious food jumping on his tongue. It seems that Kamisato Ayaka was infected by the other side's actions. He also worked with his job and tried to improve his strength as soon as possible, so that he could realize his wish. If he came to this world inexplicably, he might return to the original world. Work hard. Come on. Kamisato Ayaka, you can do it. She clenched her fists, constantly motivating herself. Early morning. The crisp chirping of birds broke the silence and awakened the sleeping Lu Yi. The fireplace had lost its flame, and the faint residual warmth could still be felt slightly. Lu Yi lazily yawned and stretched, but her body did not feel slightly stiff due to prolonged sleep. Instead, she felt clear in her ears and eyes due to the improvement of her mental strength. He turned his head and saw that on the floor a few meters away, Kamisato Ayaka had disappeared. Thinking that she was still vigilant sleeping in the corner the night before yesterday, she approached the fireplace slightly last night in her words of persuasion to get a little warm. With a smile on his lips, he pushed open the door, and a cool breeze hit his face, making people feel refreshed and refreshed. The freshness and freedom of nature dispel the dullness and constraints indoors. The snow-white rice piled up at the door, while the courtyard was covered with lush rice seedlings. Not far away, a big tree with the size of a bucket was cut to the ground, and Kamisato Ayaka was cutting off. Hearing the door open, she looked back with a smile and said, "You wake up, did I wake you?" "No, I just woke up naturally when I heard the birds chirping." Lu Yi walked over. The bird chirps. Kamisato Ayaka looks up at the trees and occasionally hears the bird chirps. Her face looks very tangled. Lu Yi did not notice the other person's expression. His hand touched the piled-up wood on the ground, and with a movement of his mind, he put it all into his backpack. Wood. Quantity 1. So much wood, surprisingly only a little wood has been converted. Taking out the package, a cubic meter diameter of wood was presented in front of Lu Yi's eyes. With a gentle tap, the sound was loud and clear, like metal objects colliding together. Kamisato Ayaka, standing aside, looked at all this curiously, but she did not ask why. She still knew the world well, so that she could occupy a place in all kinds of social occasions. Whether it's negotiating with potential partners or dealing with difficult aristocrats, she has a solid foundation for her progress and is impeccable. In front of the boy, Kamisato Ayaka has seen a lot of magical operations, so it's good to get used to it. "Linghua, help me chop with a sword," said Lu Yi. When she heard this name again, Kamisato Ayaka, who was gradually calm and adaptable, drew her sword and chopped to the corner. She felt a sense of strain. The muscles on her arms increased their strength, but a small piece of wood was still cut off. "It's much harder than the big tree I cut down." "I know." Lu Yi retrieved the wood, and the pile of wood around him was once again missing, as if he was replenishing the loss from the previous cut. The conversion rate is relatively low, but the quality has improved significantly. Even Linghua in the goddess says hard, which must be very hard. However, in this way, the problem with wood is solved, leaving only iron ore and stone. With these things, the production table can be made. "Linghua, you continue to chop down the trees while I go deal with these weeds." Lu Yi also wanted to do something. "You can just cook congee, and leave the rest to me." Kamisato Ayaka seems to be aware of the ambiguity in his words that may belittle the other party. What a kind worker. Ah bah, a kind young lady. Lu Yi's smile contains a sense of relief. Linghua, has anyone ever said that an excellent girl like you is really suitable for being a wife? Ah. Linghua and the goddess didn't even know how to put her stiff hands, and her ears turned red. She knew that it was definitely the other party's teasing. The key point was that this was not disrespectful, but also a kind of praise. She pretended not to hear and turned back to continue busy. The fallen tree silently bears everything. Chapter 7. The Evil Planter. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The girl's figure is full of strength and passion, and every cell of her is beating for work. Her passion and focus are not only a respect for her work, but also a challenge and transcendence for herself. In Lu Yi's view, the other party enjoys this state very much, and he doesn't even have to take the initiative to work. Everything is done by the other party. In the afternoon, work came to an end. Kamisato Ayaka, sitting on the chair at the door, was bathed with golden light when the sun shone in from the shade of the trees. Beside her, the thick rice leaves seemed to be drowning her. Kamisato Ayaka in the god lowered her head slightly, and her eyes fell on the wooden cup in her hand. The water in the cup is clear and transparent, like a small mirror, reflecting her slightly tired but satisfied face. The gentle breeze blew by, and the rice leaves in the courtyard swayed with the wind. A leaf fell on her shoulder, and she gently picked it off, gently touching it with her fingers, feeling its texture and texture. Suddenly, with a pinch of his hand, he tore the leaves into several pieces and threw them into the cup. As the water cup shook, the leaves also fluttered inside. She remained motionless as she watched the path of the leaves, as if wanting to see something from inside. What are you doing, Linghua? Lu Yi's voice suddenly came from behind. Nothing. Kamisato Ayaka quickly poured the water in the cup into the dense rice. Strangely, Lu Yi moved a chair and sat in front of her. Linghua, this is what I think. You said before that after killing 2 demon tigers, your power has increased significantly, and I am similar. So I was wondering if we could enhance our power at nearby hunting points and explore the situation nearby. Good. Kamisato Ayaka nodded. The light in her eyes became brighter, and the stronger the other side's strength was, the closer it was to the possibility of realizing her wish. However, she looked worried. But if we meet more evil tigers, we can slowly explore nearby and clear a path. Without improving our strength, we won't be able to stay here forever. Let's get ready today and start tomorrow morning, Lu Yi said firmly. Various production platforms require the use of iron ingots and stone. Without searching, equipment cannot be made. If equipment cannot be made, strength cannot be greatly improved. There are more practical items waiting to be opened in the production platform. Then I'll make more water bottles and decorate rice porridge so that our element force can remain abundant all the time. Kamisato Ayaka saw that the people in front of her were so ambitious, and her face was full of satisfaction and gratification. Night falls. The light and shadow generated by the fireplace dance with the beat of the flames, illuminating the situation inside the house. There are chairs and tables, as well as 2 wooden beds. There is a storage box in the right corner, and the things in the room are arranged very exquisitely. Each item is carefully crafted and placed. At first glance, the entire space looks more spacious and comfortable. The only thing that made Lu Yi uncomfortable was the distance between the 2 beds. Even though the room was not very big, why was there such a wide gap left? It's not appropriate to waste space. Here. Kamisato Ayaka handed the porridge to him. Lu Yi, who took the porridge, could not help sighing that if she went on like this, she might become a useless person. Ah, the wicked plantation owner. I didn't expect to have such a day myself. This feeling is a bit refreshing. Oh, he couldn't hold back his smile while drinking congee. In the early morning forest, the sun shines through the dense leaves, and the air is slightly moist, mixed with the fragrance of plants, making people feel relaxed and happy. It's not quiet here, with various insect and bird calls intertwined. Occasionally, a mournful cry can interrupt these noises. At this moment, the land is not only slippery, but also covered with various unknown obstacles, and a brown-striped figure is walking flat in the complex terrain. Seemingly tired of the birds chirping invading his head, the demon tiger raised its head and let out a low growl. However, the birds on the tree ignored its roar and continued to cry. The demon tiger snorted and continued walking ahead, feeling bored. Shenli Lu, Frost Extinction. Holy Light Baptism. Upon hearing a faint movement, as soon as it lifted its head, the tiger's body saw a scorching light and a spinning cold ice rushing towards it at the last moment. Two white lights emerged from the demon tiger and surged into their bodies. Flash Sale. Under the combination of two moves, the demon tiger fell to the ground without even uttering a mournful cry and fell into a deep sleep. After the tree trunk, the little head of Kamisato Ayaka poked out and looked around carefully. He also opened the kettle and drank some rice porridge to supplement the element's strength. After a while, he found that nothing was happening before he jumped out. Just this one demon tiger, come out. Behind the tree, Louis finally emerged. As a wet dad, he naturally had to stay in a safe rear area. With yesterday's experience, Kamisato Ayaka quickly decomposes the demon tiger without any sloppiness. These magical tiger meat have no special effects, but they are very delicious when put into the meat. Soon, Kamisato Ayaka sorted out the meat. This is the first demon tiger of the day. After killing it, I feel like my strength has increased significantly. It seems that our approach is correct. Not only can we enhance our strength, but we can also eliminate threats near our home. Louis put the stacked demon tiger meat in his package and waved his hand, keep moving forward. The two spirited individuals continued to explore the unknown forest along the path taken by the demon tiger. The path taken by the demon tiger senior has led to a significant increase in forward speed. Suddenly, a faint sound of water flowing through their ears. There's water. The two of them exchanged a glance and could see the joy in each other's eyes. Water flow is the favorite gathering place for animals. According to the direction of the demon tiger's advance, the other party should also be here as a hunter, but today they have become prey. A river 5 or 6 meters wide, like a silver ribbon, meanders and twists through the valleys. On the shore, there are small paths trampled by animals everywhere, spreading to unknown directions. A cute and adorable rabbit walked lightly to the riverbank, looking around with agile eyes. After confirming that there was no danger, it lowered its head to drink the sweet river water. Suddenly, it seemed to notice something and quickly kicked its legs to disappear into the bushes. In the woods, Louis was secretly observing everything. Suddenly, he noticed that among the stones by the river, there were some dark black stones with a smooth surface polished by the water flow, shining with a cold metallic luster under the sunlight. The luster contrasts sharply with the surrounding stones, making it impossible to ignore its existence. Is this or? Chapter 8. This is called Karmon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dong dong. Louis picked up the stone and struck it against the dark black one, with a heavy but loud voice. It's iron ore. He moved his mind, but couldn't accept the package. With a forceful break, he remained motionless. Linghua, you come and give it a try. I can't do it myself, but as long as the tool person can handle it. As a rice wife person, it is natural to have the rice wife person's unique way of mining. Kamisato Ayaka draws his sword and waves it. The blade chi condensed by the ice is like a silver lightning, fast and sharp. When the knife's aura struck the ore, the hard ore was instantly shattered and fragments splattered. The air is filled with a mixed smell of stone powder and metal, stimulating people's sense of smell. This is Genshin Impact. Lu Yi secretly gave a thumbs up, saying that no pickaxe is as fast as a weapon. It seems that this is not enough. Kamisato Ayaka then wields his sword to chop all the nearby minerals. The rumbling sound generated by the explosion of the ore left the bustling water sources upstream and downstream empty, leaving only the trickling sound echoing in the air. Animals hid in the woods to hold their breath and concentrate. Louis put down the last piece of ore weighing over 100 pounds. The fragmented ore has all piled up together. Holding on to the mine pile with your hand, your mind moved and instantly disappeared completely. Iron ingot. 2 stone. 3 linghua, let's get more ore. Louis looked up at the winding river, where iron ore could occasionally be seen scattered along the bank. It is impossible to produce minerals in rivers, so there is only one possibility. There is a vein nearby. With metal, you can make your own equipment. This trip is worth it. In the surging water, a pair of erect pupils flickered with a cold light, and the gloomy and greedy gaze locked onto the 2 people on the shore. Holy light baptism. Lu Yi, who had always been on guard against the situation in the water, immediately noticed the several-meter-long figure. Standing at a high place, he couldn't help but notice it. The scorching holy light rushed into the other person's body, stirring his internal organs like a steel knife. The pain made the shadows in the water scream and crawl ashore, rushing towards them at an extremely fast speed. The opponent who emerged from the water also showed his prototype in front of Lu Yi. Its head is particularly large, and its mouth is covered with sharp teeth. These teeth are serrated, like sharp daggers. Opening its bloody mouth, one can see the terrifying huge throat and esophagus. The body is covered with thick dark brown scales, and each scale seems to be polished with a sharp blade, emitting a cold light. Crocodile. No, just like a demon tiger, it has a significant change in appearance. The speed is also very agile. Lu Yi was once again baptized by a holy light, and the momentum of the demon crocodile's charge suddenly decreased, causing intense pain to spread throughout his body. The Kamisato Ayaka who wielded the sword made a heavy cut, and only a few inches long wound appeared when the sword edge cut on the scale, which can be ignored for the monster crocodile's huge size. It was the cold that froze the other's body. Kamisato Ayaka took the opportunity to stab it in the mouth with his sword. The white light emitted once again poured into their bodies. Wow! In the river, more than 10 demon crocodiles fanned around, and the land by the river sank slightly under their weight, forming shallow gullies. The river was even more frightened by the sound of footsteps, causing ripples to form, and the originally calm water surface instantly became turbulent. Their bloodthirsty eyes were fixed on these outsiders, and they were scared away by these 2 bipedal beasts early in the morning, leaving their stomachs empty. Withdraw. Lu Yi beckoned Kamisato Ayaka and retreated. These old 6 crocodiles are fortunate to be vigilant about the movements in the water. Look at Kamisato Ayaka's attack just now. These magic alligators are creatures with high physical defense and low magic defense. Up the tree. Louis noticed a big tree with several people embracing it in front of her. Kamisato Ayaka directly took his hand, and several jumps directly jumped to the trunk 7 or 8 meters above the ground. Wow! The group of crocodiles stopped their tracks under the tree, raising their heads and shouting helplessly at the 2 people on the trunk. Ayanami, do you know what this is? Louis took out a kettle from his backpack and poured himself a mouthful of rice porridge. His magic began to slowly recover. Kamisato Ayaka looked at him doubtfully. This is called a kagwai, which means you can hit monsters, but monsters can't hit you. Study hard and look good. Louis just finished speaking. I saw the largest crocodile open its mouth and bite at the tree trunk, with sawdust flying everywhere. Other crocodiles followed suit and began to nibble on the tree trunk. What? Kamisato Ayaka was puzzled again and looked at him carefully. Silence is the biggest irony. Louis is powerless to roast. So are evil tigers and these crocodiles. Each one is smarter than the other. What is Warcraft? He believes it when he says it's someone pretending. Holy light baptism. Holy light baptism. Holy light baptism. 3 holy lights kill a demon crocodile. The screams of the crocodiles before their death did not deter them, but instead aroused their bloodiness. Their golden vertical pupils were covered in blood red, and their frantic biting movements accelerated a lot. Level increased again by 1-2. The spirit power increased again, and the magic value also increased. With the magic effect of rice porridge, Lu Yi's holy light should not be thrown down like blue. Level increased again by 2-3. Level increased again by 3-4, and 80% of the big tree was gnawed off. The remaining few magic crocodiles felt uncomfortable. What about my teammates? The reflection of his erect pupils revealed his companions with white bellies flipping around, each losing their vitality. They, who had calmed down from their violent state, suddenly fell silent and looked at each other with an extremely humane expression. Without any hesitation, they tacitly turned around and ran towards the river, with a very clear purpose. When they ran back into the water, these 2-legged beasts had no choice but to take them. The speed is even faster than when chasing Lu Yi. Kamisato Ayaka, who had been waiting for a long time, could not miss this opportunity. From just now, every time Lu Yi killed an alligator, she felt her strength was growing. These crocodiles are no longer ferocious, but a series of delicious dishes. Kamisato Ayaka leaped from the sky, like an elegant crane spreading its wings in the wind. Her eyes were firm and deep, revealing a cold chill. As she landed lightly, a powerful energy burst out in an instant. Shinli flow and frost destruction surged out like a raging tide, and the rotating frost formed a huge black hole, freezing the surrounding air. Those few demon crocodiles were engulfed by this ice and frost frenzy before they could react. They struggled, but appeared so powerless in the face of this powerful energy. Frost quickly spread throughout their bodies, tightly restraining them and making them unable to move. The figure of Kamisato Ayaka in the god was indistinct in the ice, and those magic alligators trapped in the ice burst under her attack, turning into a cold fragment. Chapter 9. Tree Spirit Brother, Wait for Me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lu Yi level 5 strength 15, increases melee attack power by 1 point, current. 15 spirit 15, increases 10 mana points per point, current mana. 150 wisdom 15, increases spell damage by 1 point, current. 15 constitution 15, increases 10 health points per point, current health. 150 agility 15, increases speed by a certain point, dodges by 0.01%, and deals 1 ranged damage, current dodge. 0.15%, current ranged damage. 15, a nest of demon crocodiles has been brought up, and the level has smoothly reached level 5. Lu Yi felt full of strength all over her body, and with just one punch, she could probably crush her former self. Life talent has a skill bar illuminated. Light and darkness, active. When used on oneself or teammates, a debuff state is lifted and the healing effect is increased by 15% within 60 minutes. When used against enemies or targets, it puts the enemy in a bound state for 3 seconds and increases their damage taken by 12% for 20 seconds. This ability is great. Lu Yi raised his hand to Ayanami, the god who was cutting the crocodile skin not far away. Light and darkness. Kamisato Ayaka, who felt her own change, raised her head, looked at it and then continued to lower her head to busy herself. She has become accustomed to someone doing something strange to herself. Holy light baptism. A very strong holy light surged into the body, instantly sweeping away the exhaustion of the body. If it had been a trickle before, now it is surging like a river in front of us. Much stronger. Kamisato Ayaka looked up very surprised, and the other party's growth exceeded his imagination. However, there were more surprises than just these. After reaching level 5, the the lifestyle store added 2 more products. Cotton and grapes. His gaze gazed affectionately at the perfect figure. What are you looking at? The Kamisato Ayaka looked up again. It's nothing, Louis smiled mischievously. Linghua, who is busy, is also very cute. Kamisato Ayaka bowed her head and got busy again. After taking a quick deep breath, she recovered her calm. Eliminating the threat, the 2 of them became busy again. With enough rice and kanji, Kamisato Ayaka, who is still full of rice, keeps collecting ores in a unique way of his wife. In the afternoon, sitting under the shade of a tree, Louis and her companions finally managed to take a break. From the beginning, the 2 of them swept upstream to over 100 meters, during which all the ore was cleared. By the stream, there are already small animals brave enough to secretly drink water. However, no animals dared to approach downstream, and the wreckage of the crocodile still emitted a strong bloody smell, which instinctively made them feel uneasy. Iron ingot. 231 stone. 330 magic crocodile meat, fur, fangs, and several claws. In terms of cleaning the battlefield, the diligent and thrifty Kamisato Ayaka collected all the useful and useless things. Linghua. Louis pondered over drawing something big to make the other person work harder. Dong. 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 The earth is trembling, and the animals on the riverbank are running away one after another. The 2 of Louis were very tacitly lying behind the big tree, with only a pair of eyes peeking out to look around. On the other side of the river, there was a loud noise from the trees, accompanied by the sound of their trunks being broken, as if a giant was walking. The originally calm river surface was also shaken by ripples. The sound was getting closer and closer. Over 100 meters downstream, a foot made up of a tree trunk collided with the forest and stepped heavily into the river, instantly cutting off the flow of the entire river. The huge tree figure, which is over 10 meters tall, is like a mountain full of oppression. The murky pupils glanced around and then locked onto the wreckage of the demon crocodile on the ground. The mossy hands picked it up, along with the soil on top, threw it into their stomachs. Tree spirit. Louis was suddenly shocked. This is not a pure physical attack monster like a crocodile, but an ancient century small boss that can use wooden abilities. Back then, as a newborn calf, he fought alongside members of the guild, only to be killed by the opponent's range skills. He tugged at the corner of Ayanoa's clothes and turned his mouth towards the rear. The 2 of them quietly and slowly retreated towards the depths of the forest. As the figure was about to disappear from view, Louis looked back deeply and said, "Brother Shujing, wait for me to make the equipment." In the courtyard, golden rice sways in the wind. Until they returned to the house, their tense emotions finally relaxed. "Linghua, I have new seeds now, cotton and grapes," said Louis. "Let me see." Kamisato Ayaka's face was full of curiosity. Unable to wait to receive the seeds, she immediately ran to harvest the rice. "Let's take a break first," Louis said. "No, sit down and rest. I'll try planting some first." Kamisato Ayaka didn't forget to let him rest. Louis. If only she could take a clone. Abandoning this unrealistic fantasy, he opened the production stage. Furnace. A production platform for creating metals and weapons. 10 parts of iron ingots and 10 parts of stone are all there, only 100 gold is missing. It seems that we still need to work hard to farm under the deepening moonlight of the night. At the entrance, the grape tree had a thick, 1 meter deep brown trunk piercing into the soil. The vines and leaves on top curled up into a ball, and the 2 clusters of grapes hanging down emitted a fragrant aroma. Planting until mature for 8 hours. Louis picked only a few clusters of grapes, and the grape tree entered the next fruiting cycle again, without disappearing directly after picking. Linghua eats grapes. Louis placed the grapes on the plate on the table. Each grape is large, full, and crystal clear like a pearl. Louis picked one and threw it into her mouth. The sweetness instantly burst on her tongue, and the taste was rich and smooth like silk. Delicious. Kamisato Ayaka, who was sitting opposite, could not help but enlarge her eyes. Even as the eldest daughter of the Shinli family, she had never eaten such delicious grapes. Unfortunately, it seems that the magic cannot be restored. Upon hearing the other person's words, Louis chuckled and said, "There is a reason for the existence of this flavor alone. Not using it now doesn't mean it won't be used in the future. Will you plant rice or cotton tomorrow?" Kamisato Ayaka picked up a grape again and put it into her mouth. Louis looked at the cheap price of cotton in the package and planted some rice to earn some gold coins. Moreover, the ripening time of the two was almost the same. If she wanted to make money, she naturally planted rice. Plant rice. Good. Kamisato Ayaka nodded. Chapter 10. Mrs. Equipment explodes again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The strong wind blew over the rice fields, causing them to rise and fall like golden waves. In the room, Kamisato Ayaka looked curiously at Louis' setting of a black stove-like object. Selling a portion of the rice, I finally pooled the money to make a furnace. Mine to turn on the furnace. The weapon levels in the game are Craftsman Expert, Famous Craftsman, Giant, Grandmaster. But now only the Craftsman series equipment is displayed in the furnace. In no time, Louis found the production target. Craftsman's one-handed sword. 50 iron ingots, 10 gold ingots, can be replaced with 100 gold coins, 10 silver ingots, can be replaced with 100 silver coins, 100 gold production fee, can add other items to improve quality. The last paragraph reminded Louis of the claws and teeth of the demon crocodile in the package, which were collected by the thrifty young lady, so she simply threw them all in. Forge. The furnace suddenly lit up, and the flames jumped inside, adding a metal mixture that resembled the heart of a volcano, boiling and rolling in the raging flames. Every surge of the furnace fire makes the molten material more uniform and pure, as if all impurities have been purified by high temperature. In just 1 minute, the flames in the furnace extinguished. A sword also appeared in Louis' hand. Craftsman. Sword of Red Sun, excellent, attack power. 190 power. 20 physical fitness. 18 spirit. 13, can devour weapons produced for growth, current growth limit is normal, excellent, rare, excellent, perfect. Grasping the sword tightly, Louis felt the power and other attributes contained inside bestowed upon him. The quality is excellent, not ordinary, probably the result of adding crocodile teeth and claws. Linghua, give it a try. When Kamisato Ayaka took the knife, her face became very solemn. Holding this knife, I feel as if I have become more powerful, as if the elemental power has also become a bit stronger. It's a strange feeling. Her slender fingers gently slid over the blade, and the cold seemed to wander between her fingers, making her feel waves of coolness. Can you give me some crocodile skin to make a scabbard? Kamisato Ayaka waved a sword flower and looked at him with satisfaction. Thank you for your sword. There's no need to say thank you for our relationship. Louis took out all the crocodile skins from her backpack. The skins are all here, you can watch and play for yourself. Ayanami's head in God's heart lit like a chicken pecking rice. She doesn't hide her love for this sword at all. However, she looked at the empty hands of the other person and felt inexplicably guilty. And you? Wait until tomorrow when you have accumulated enough materials to work on mine. The order is not important. I'm going to farm. Please have a good rest. Don't be too tired. Ayanami Huashing rushed out to continue her rice-growing career. What did I do? I forged a sword and then sweated from the heat of the fire in the furnace. Grasping the back of his head, he was thinking that if he summoned another tech house or something, wouldn't he really lie down and win? A decadent life. By the way, give me some more grape seeds and wood, and I will be useful. Kamisato Ayaka, who has returned, said. She seems to have been used to talking to him in a normal tone. Louis didn't ask why. A qualified tool person needs to have subjective initiative. Well, the other party gave themselves one surprise after another. This carefree appearance may be the true side of her. Long. A thunderous roar echoed in the sky. Raindrops the size of soybeans poured down. In the forest where sunlight was already scarce, it suddenly felt like entering darkness. In the depths of the forest, a group of people are besieging a tree spirit over 20 meters tall. The fireball hit the tree spirit's leg like a shell, with arrows flying towards its eyes one by one, while the knight in heavy armor stood in front. There was not a word on the scene, and everyone was fighting in tacit agreement. Wood chips were flying and a large piece of wood was shot down. A mournful cry pierced through the silence, and the mossy hands of the tree spirit swiftly danced the magic circle. With the singing, a brilliant and dazzling giant magic circle bloomed on the ground. Suddenly, a strong wind howled in the magic circle, and a powerful energy quickly spread out. In this fierce wind, all creatures were blown upside down, not to mention attacking, even standing firm became very difficult. My vision was also blurred in an instant. The knight at the forefront was flown out like a broken kite. The tree spirit standing in the eye of the storm strode towards the lowly creatures that provoked it, and the trees in the forest were like weeds, overwhelmed by its fierce attack. The traces of slaughter are also clearly visible in other corners of the forest. Under the cover of rain, the figure is elusive, which is also the most suitable time for hunting the next day. Louis, who was awake from her dream, habitually glanced at the empty bed next door. In the dimly lit room, the firelight in the fireplace appeared particularly warm. The flames danced and occasionally made a crackling sound. It was Linghua who added firewood, otherwise the night would have passed and the fireplace would have been extinguished. Sure enough, my family's Linghua still loves me. Louis yawned and stood up. Creak. The door was gently pushed open, and the sound of raindrops and thunder suddenly burst in. Although it was still raining cats and dogs outside, the other side's voice was so loud that Kamisato Ayaka could not ignore its existence. The face in the dimness instantly turned red. What is my Linghua? What does it mean to still love me? She, who has occupied a place in various social occasions, is not the kind of otaku who knows nothing. 2. The other party. What does this mean? She turned her back abruptly, took off her raincoat, and placed it on the hanger at the door. Linghua, you have a nice raincoat. Lu Yi's eyes lit up, and the young lady's equipment exploded again. It seems a bit commonplace to bring out more items at home. It's made of crocodile skin, and I made a coat hanger in the morning. Kamisato Ayaka's voice seemed to have a tremor. So this bucket. Louis pointed to the big wooden bucket in the corner. I read about wine making in the book before and wanted to try it, Kamisato Ayaka said and rubbed her spiky hair. That's great, Mississippi. She continues to aggressively boost her equipment, and Louis is very pleased.